Hello, I'm Charles Clark, and today I just want to touch on one key thing really with virtualization. It's all about sort of context with monitoring and management, but a key element of that is automating remedial tasks. So what I want to do is just show you a very simple demo of how we can automate changing the virtual RAM allocation for a vSphere VM using System Center as the underlying framework. Okay, so here's the System Center Orchestrator runbook designer. So first thing I need to do is be able to pass in the variables that I'm going to use later in the runbook. So the first thing that I need to be able to provide is the path to the virtual machine. That's going to be a string. And in this example I'm going to change vRAM, and that's going to be an integer. Okay, now I'm going to go to the vSphere integration pack that I've already imported. Now what I want to be able to do here is get the VM status purely to check whether or not the VM is powered on or powered off. So I'm just going to create the linkage between the variables and VM status, but I need to do this because if I'm going to change the vRAM allocation, then the VM needs to be powered off essentially. So I'm just going to connect to vCenter here, and I'll subscribe to data from the previous step so that I can just provide a VM name when I run the workflow for the first time. Okay, so here that step we're getting the VM status for a particular virtual machine. Now if that virtual machine is powered on, I need to power it off to be able to change the RAM, so I'm just going to add the step for that. Now here I'm going to use a condition in the connector to verify the power state of the virtual machine, so I'm just going to use power state, and if power state equals, in this case, powered on, then go ahead and power it off. Very simple. Okay, and here I'm just again connecting into the vCenter and specifying the path for the VM that needs to be powered off, so I'll just subscribe to that from the very first step in this example. And because I don't have VMware tools installed in that VM and it's just a demo, I'm not going to do a graceful shutdown. Okay, so now kind of comes the key step. This is where I want to reconfigure the VM and actually change the RAM allocation. So again, I'm just going to create that linkage into my workflow. Now here, again, if the power state, and what I'm saying here is setting a condition essentially that says, if the power state is powered off, then just go ahead and reconfigure the VM. And I'll create the linkage if I have to stop the VM, I'll create the linkage just in a minute or two. So again, just connecting into the VMware environment, subscribing to the VM path, and this time I want to change the memory allocation, the vRAM allocation, and I'm simply going to set that to, again, a subscribed value that I can pull from an earlier step. So in this case it's from the initialize data step, so I can control everything from that single place. Okay, really simple. Now once I've changed the RAM on the VM, I want to be able to start the VM back up again automatically, so I'm just going to drop in a start VM action here. And again, just draw the linkage between those two steps. I don't need any condition on the linkage this time. Again, connect to the vCenter, and the start VM action will apply to the VM I specify right at the start. Okay, now the other thing that I want is I want people to know if that RAM allocation is changed. So if the RAM allocation changes, I want an alert to be created inside System Center Operations Manager for this. So I've imported the SCOM integration pack. I'm going to connect here to the SCOM server. I'm going to set the alert to be a low priority. It's really just an informational message. We'll add that as an information message. And I'm just going to add in some description so an operator knows what's going on. So I'm just going to wrap that in quotes, and let's come up with something, I don't know, VMware virtual machine, And then I can actually drop in subscribed data here as well. So I'm just going to put a space so it looks nice inside the alert description. I'll subscribe to the VM path from the very first step. And then I'll just sort of round out the description, you know, pop it in quotes again. So it's changed its RAM allocation to, and again I can drop in the subscribed value here. Grand. Cool. Finish that off. Okay, great. We're almost there. Oh, now I forgot. I need to create the linkage from the stop VM to reconfigure VM. So I've done that now. And there's my workflow complete. So I'm just going to save that by checking it in. And now what I want to do is actually demonstrate it. So here I've got a virtual machine, AUDS Linux 05. It's using 768 meg of RAM. And I'm just going to kick off the runbook from the orchestration console. So here I'm going to specify the path to the virtual machine as one of my variables. So there it is there, DS Linux 05. I'm going to set the root vRAM down to 256, run it against this runbook server, click start, and off it goes. So I'm just going to flip over to the vSphere client here and show you what's going on. So if I just refresh that view, you should see, whoops, scroll down a bit. You should see, okay, so there's the virtual machine being powered off as part of that workflow. You can actually see the memory changes being made. If I just give that another refresh. And scroll down again. Okay, so now it's been powered on, and you can see that the memory change has been made. Fantastic. Okay, now let's just, if I just flip back into the orchestration console, I can actually show you the steps that were involved there. So I'm just going to come into instances. So there's the instance that I just ran, and I can view the activity details, and you can see step by step the workflow has run through everything that was involved in actually creating that and changing that RAM allocation. And now if I come back into System Center, there's the alert that got generated telling me that that virtual machine has changed its RAM allocation to 256 megs. Great. Thank you very much.